I won't lie to you, Shepard. Things look bad. A rogue Spectre's trouble. It's Saren. He hates humans.
Set the charges. Destroy the entire colony.
He has an army of Geth at his command, and he won't stop until he's wiped humanity from the galaxy.
I'll find some way to take him down.
On a high level, a lot of what we're trying to do with Mass Effect is make it feel like you have dropped down inside your favorite, best science fiction movies, which typically, I think for us anyway, are from like the late 70s, early 80s, and they do have a very film-like presence. It's kind of like an ambient feeling, and the music and things like that are some of the stuff that we're trying to emulate, and just that overall feeling of, I think, what a lot of people think is like classic science fiction.
We finally got to see the character creation. At last, BioWare has delivered unto us the character creation, which was always promised to be super, super, super in-depth, kind of like Oblivion.
It looks super, super, super in-depth.
Yeah.
And so far, it looks like the characters perhaps won't look quite as ugly as they do in Oblivion.
In Oblivion, it's like this, and this was very, very subtle. And the fact that the textures on the skin are a lot more convincing, and the way that it's lit does actually look like you're fine-tuning rather than making someone look ridiculous.
Plus, they're all human.
Right.
Seems like.
Yeah.
So, we won't be dealing with any kind of lizard peoples.
Yeah, and they just had a more modern look. Like they look like what you would expect in a sci-fi video game, instead of a sort of like
LARPing.
weird medieval
D&D.
medieval RPG kind of thing that it's like, okay, this is the person I'll play in a video game, but I don't want to hang out with them. These people look like they look like normal people.
Shepard was clearly made, that the character we've seen in all the videos so far is clearly just the default using the editor, and he looks so much better than pretty much any other character we've seen built with one of those things. I mean, it looks better than the home characters or the Oblivion characters. I mean, he looks like he was, he looks like that intentionally.
Your ship's amazing, Shepard. I've never seen a drive core like this before. I can't believe you were able to fit it into a ship this small. I'm starting to understand why you humans have been so successful. I had no idea Alliance vessels were so advanced.
I don't like the idea of aliens studying the architecture of Alliance ships.
We're on the same side here. My people have more reason to hate the Geth than anyone, remember? But you can't blame me for being a little excited. I never dreamed I'd get a chance to travel on a ship as advanced as the Normandy.
So did you read the novel?
Yes.
Keith, did you read the novel?
I'm in the novel.
That's still on
Carla
my...
Sanders, huh?
Yeah, Carly Sanders.
Carly, yeah. So I thought what was interesting in the...
You read the novel?
Sure.
We both did. We prepared for this conversation.
Yeah.
It's still on my
You
to-do list.
haven't?
Like, Shepard's the first human Spectre, which also explains why you can only be a human, because that's very important to the story. And the novel actually tells about the first time humanity really has any dealing with the Spectres, and the story leading up to that.
Shepard, your species needs to learn its place.
One of the observations which ties in nicely with the Shepard model is that in the future humanity is such a sort of mixed bag of races that everyone has a little bit of everything in them. And I think Shepard is sort of the personification of that. Humanity is spread so thinly across the galaxy that everyone is kind of like that, which kind of explains why the game has a certain look with the humans in it at the moment. I mean, looking from the editor, it looks like you can do pretty much anything.
Yeah, I finally got to play it at E3. was the first time I was able to get my hands on it, you know, and I'm always worried about games like this because, like, whenever they try to blend, like, RPG elements with shooter elements, like, it seems like in trying to blend those two, they kind of make both weaker, they neuter both.
Yeah.
At E3, I was a little worried because some of the AI and some of the enemies, I was like, well, why isn't he shooting me? He's on the bridge. But we just recently got this footage from like one of their latest builds, and the frame rate's improved, and I can tell that the enemies on the bridge are shooting at me now.
And I really loved seeing the interface for the command system, because I think that's been a big mystery, is how do you control these
three people? Yeah,
your 3-person team in real time, and I was really happy to see.
We've seen several versions of this now, but this new one with the circular interface with the characters and the actions that you want them to take all sort of done with the stick seems so much more intuitive.
Yeah, it worked so much better.
It seems like you'll get really used to each team member's assortment of skills, and you'll be like, okay, I know where that is, and it's easy and quick, and it doesn't have to interfere much with the mission.
You actually use your guys like kind of in tandem with yourself, but it's very simple, like single button presses. It's created for me some of the funnest things I've seen. Like there's a few games out there that do this where, you know, I'm going to flank the guy, but then someone nails him with the throw and he goes like flying by the screen. I'm flying into a wall. I go, oh, I won't worry about that guy. And you're thinking, well, that was me, but it wasn't exactly me. It was my party. But we're all still a unit, and it's actually really neat when those things happen. And that's what the game's all set up to do.
I'm really excited about the vehicle.
Yeah.
Having seen how it can like hop to avoid flaming missiles headed its way, it looks really fun and really cool. I've always been a little bit nervous about navigating a vehicle in a BioWare RPG, even if it's an action game. But the latest footage we've seen just looks fun.
When they first showed it, my first inclination was like, oh, really?
It seems kind of like a win button too.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't seem to take damage, and you can just like annihilate people with it. But you know, that's just on the first perimeter.
But it's so far beyond those turret mini games or the other mini games that have been in KOTOR, where it's just like it takes you totally out of the game almost.
Right.
This is like an action element, and I can't believe I'm the one talking about it. I'm excited about the driving mini game.
Tell me about yourself, Liara.
Me? I am afraid I am not very interesting, Commander. I spend most of my time on remote digs, unearthing mundane items buried in long-forgotten Prothean ruins.
Sounds dangerous. And lonely.
Sometimes I would run afoul of indigenous life forms or stumble across a small band of mercenaries or privateers, but I was always careful. Until the Geth followed me to Artemis Tau, I never found myself in any situation my biotics could not handle. As for the solitude, well, that is one aspect that most appealed to me. Sometimes I just need to get away from other people.
When we first showed the conversation system, for example, I think that was at last year's E3, that was the very first time that for us in Mass Effect we had those few conversations representing the way that we wanted the final game to look. And we pushed that quality all the way up to the gold standard that we want Mass Effect to look and play like. But those were the only ones that existed in the whole game at that quality. And then since then, we start building out the rest of the game and make the whole story, and then start raising the overall quality up and add the polish. Right now, we're able to really go to pretty much any part in the entire game, and it's all at that gold standard.